Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as ours, but hey, it's something. 3 to 100. Yeah, no further delays, no housekeeping or whatever. Let's get right into the news. The first thing I'm going to start off with is, something weird. Senators clashed over Hunter Biden probe in classified briefing. The Senate committee is pressing ahead with an investigation on the former vice president's son, even as the coronavirus pandemic rages on. A key Senate committee is vowing to press forward with its investigation targeting former President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, despite logistical challenges posed by the global pandemic. The probe, which Democrats viciously oppose, has fueled tension among the Senate's ranks, even breaking out into a rare and previously unreported verbal altercation between senators during classified briefings. The Senate Homeland Security Committee's Republican-led inquiry was entering a critical phase last month when the senators dropped all non-essential work to focus on delivering economic and medical relief to the coronavirus. So, this appears to be one of the things, they're actually going back to do this. They're like, yeah, I know we're going through this huge coronavirus pandemic, but Hunter Biden, we really need to focus on Hunter Biden right now. It's 100% obvious why they're doing this, purely for political gain. Because guess what? Believe it or not, guys, let me just be very crystal clear. Republicans do not give a shit about political corruption. Literally, when the same thing is levied against the Trump administration, crickets. Seriously. You don't even need to give a hypothetical scenario. Literally, the exact same thing has been levied against the Trump administration. And his son, not his son, but, Jared Kushner, as Kyle Kulinski once said, you don't make, $8 million when daddy's president based on the oopsies. Speaking of another thing that people are choosing to focus on instead of the coronavirus pandemic, President Donald Trump beefs up drug war against cartels, accuses them of exploiting COVID-19 crisis. The U.S. is sending warships, aircraft, and security forces to the Eastern Pacific and Caribbean Sea to enhance surveillance of anti-narcotics operations in a move the Trump administration says will cut off the flow of drugs at the time when cartels are attempting to exploit the COVID-19 outbreak. There is growing threats that cartels and terrorists will try to exploit the situation for their own gain. We will never let that happen. Literally last week, Donald Trump said that he was going to extradite and try to get Maduro on drug charges, and now he's saying that he will take further steps to combat the drug charges and stuff. These don't seem connected at all. Seriously, he's literally doing this just to get Maduro. Wow, literally when nobody's paying attention in the coronavirus epidemic. Speaking of more things that are not going on, people are paying attention to because of the coronavirus epidemic, Hungary, you may have heard this, but Hungary now has given their president, or prime minister, Viktor Orbán, new powers. Basically, they gave Orbán the dictatorship. He's now the dictator of Hungary. He has pretty much unlimited control in Hungary, and now he is proposing a bill that will seek to end legal recognition of trans people amid the COVID-19 crisis. It would record people's sex at birth, and thus make it impossible to change anybody's legally recognized gender. So basically, you can't go back and change your birth certificate if you're transgender. If you transition from girl to boy, you can't go to, the birth certificate people and say, hey, I want to change it to female because I identify as female. Seriously. There's no reason to do this But they're just like, nah, we're gonna do it. Because nobody can stop them. What are we gonna do? Tell them we need to vote him out. Oh wait, he has full control. Dang it. Like, he could do it. That was in his legal authority in the bill that was given to him to become, like, pretty much unlimited power. It's weird. You see, silly me thought that, top priority in the coronavirus epidemic is to combat the coronavirus, but, I guess trans people are a bigger threat during COVID-19 than anything else, to be honest. Now, with all of this bad things going on with COVID-19, there seemed to be a weird light that shined through. Let me explain. Trump says it does not seem fair that 30 million Americans are uninsured and suggests that he may expand Medicare or Medicaid. President Donald Trump suggested on Wednesday that he would consider opening up Medicare and Medicaid to nearly 30 million uninsured Americans as the coronavirus spreads across the U.S. It was a remarkable concession from the president who supports striking down the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, a move that would strip health insurance away from tens of millions of Americans. During Wednesday's coronavirus briefing, the Fox News White House correspondent John Roberts asked Vice President Mike Pence a series of pointed questions about the administration's decision this week. Basically, Trump says, I know he's probably not going to go through with it. Obviously he won't, but he's, this is really weird. Even Pramila Jayapal, wrote a letter to Trump and said, hey, I heard that you wanted to expand Medicare to everybody. I have the bill just for that. It's seriously, this is interesting development. Of course Trump would do this because look at the person who is considered the frontrunner of the Democratic primaries, Joe Biden. Trump is going to do the same strategy that he did in 2016. He's going to outflank the Democrat. He's going to outflank the corporatist Democrat in regards to populist rhetoric. Remember, Trump said this is what Trump said literally during the 2016 election.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. And then we have to take care of the people that can't take care of themselves, and I will do that.
He will literally just say it. He'll say it to get elected, and guess what? It will work. I don't know if it'll work that well this time around, but it will work. Because guess what? Joe Biden has literally nothing. Literally, Joe Biden's entire candidacy is, I am not Trump, vote for me. That was Hillary's strategy. Guess what? It didn't work. Literally, it is her strategy. And for some reason, they're like, we'll try this again. And they think we're crazy for trying to nominate someone who actually has policies and stuff that'll make people want to vote for him. Because they say oh, but what about George McGovern? Well, first of all, that was 1972. It's not 1972 anymore. These leftist positions are popular. I literally just checked. Medicare-For-All, from an organization I trust, has polled Medicare-For-All at 54% right now. And it has always been above the majority thing. It's ranged from 59% to 60% to 50%, 51%, but it has always been majority. Seriously, why would this not work? And then Trump knows how to sympathize with anti-establishment people. Seriously, I have to explain this campaign strategy to the people who literally just running against this campaign strategy. Like, even now, he's literally talking like the anti-establishment left people who like Bernie or Jill Stein or Tulsi Gabbard. He speaks to them. He's like, they're accusing Tulsi and Jill Stein of being Russian assets. Just, nah. He's saying, they're gonna screw Bernie again. I know this for a fact. And it stinks. Bernie's a really good candidate. I trust him a lot. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. And then he'll call him Crazy Bernie 2 seconds later because he doesn't give a shit about consistency. You think he's not going to use this Tara Reid thing? Bernie ain't touching this Tara Reid thing. You think Trump is going to show Biden this same courtesy? Absolutely not. There's a reason why Bernie's better equipped to beat Trump. Because when Trump goes all in on Bernie, he's already had an entire primary to practice getting shit thrown at him over and over and over again. Biden does not. Because the media does not criticize Biden. They do not talk about Biden. They literally do not. Trump will run circles around Joe Biden during the debate. He'll be like, Joe, you're a rapist. I'll tell you that much, folks. He's a rapist. He rapes people. He's got dementia, folks. I'll tell you that much. And the Biden will be like, Trump racist. Seriously, that's going to be the debate. I'll probably watch the first of the debates if it's Joe v. Trump. But then I won't watch any more because I don't think they will be that much different. Let's move on to another candidate that was on the race. Andrew Yang. This also kind of ties to coronavirus. Andrew Yang says Asians need to show our Americanness in order to avoid racism. Okay, so you might need context for those who don't understand. You see, as the coronavirus becomes a lot more prevalent, there's been a rise in Asian American hate crimes. It's a sad but true thing. After 9/11, there was a rise in, like, anti-Muslim, anti-Arabic, anti-Hindu, anti-Sikh hate crimes. And with the rise of COVID-19, there's a rise in Asian hate crimes. It stinks, but it's true. Andrew Yang took an interesting approach in regards to it. Here's what he told Asian Americans to do. Help our neighbors, donate gear, vote, wear red, white, and blue, volunteer, fund aid organizations, demonstrate that we are part of the solution. We Asian Americans need to embrace and show our Americanness in ways that we had never had before. We Asian Americans are not the virus, but we can be the solution. Now, I get the sentiment Andrew Yang was trying to bring, but one part really seemed to make people oomph. And that was the part where he said, red, white, and blue, and we, wear red, white, and blue, and we need to show our Americanness. A lot of people interpreted this as Yang trying to convince Asian Americans to not be Asian American, but to instead act more white. And, I mean, throughout the entire campaign, many people were criticizing Yang for trying to appeal to white supremacists, and even making, self-referential Asian jokes and trying to be the ideal minority. So, a lot of people didn't really take too kindly to Yang saying all that. Especially considering, Asians are considered, the most out there, culture-wise. They eat food with chopsticks. The shows they watch are interesting. They have interesting traditions, etc., etc. Like every culture, they're unique. But the Asian culture seems to be just enough out there. Well, I mean, I technically shouldn't even say the Asian culture because, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, to an outsider, they seem like the same, but, they have unique differences. But basically, Asians are considered out there in regards to how their culture compares to ours. So, Yang kind of trying to say, like, hey, be more American, be more American. It seems weird. You see what I'm trying to say? It's like, it reminds me of that Teddy Roosevelt quote where he said, "We welcome the German and the Irishman who becomes an American. We have no use for the German or Irishman who remains such. He must revere only our flag. Not only must it come first, but no other flag should even come second." It's like, it seems a little interesting, Yang. But look, like, I'm a Hispanic guy who, has no connection to Hispanic culture, so maybe I'm not one to talk, but I'm just saying, it seems weird to go about it this way, Yang. Like, I think maybe if he just excluded the part where it's like, make yourself more American, just basically say, like, look, Asian Americans, we need to help out, let's make people not hate us as much. Like, maybe he should have stuck to that instead of saying, let's be more American. Or maybe he should have just stuck to the UBI thing. That's usually the thing he does well with during the campaign. Literally every time he tried to talk about other issues, he usually just go flop. I mean, except for drugs. Anyways, now let's head across the sea to see what's going on next. Keir Starmer wins Labour leadership with crushing victory. Sir Keir Starmer has been elected to the Labour Party's new leader in a landslide, bringing Jeremy Corbyn's 5-year reign to an end. The 57-year-old inherits the role just 5 years after being elected to Parliament, having previously served as a Director of Public Prosecutions between 2008 and 2013. Now, here's the thing. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this, what is this? Is this good or is it bad? Well, let me explain who Keir Starmer is. He's a member of Parliament who represents the Labour Party. Why am I going through all that? Two things that people seem to want to know is he pro-Corbyn or is he anti-Corbyn? And pro-Brexit or anti-Brexit? Well, here's the thing. I'll start with the latter first. He is pro-EU. He wants to remain in the EU and is calling for a second referendum. This is a bad thing. They should have learned we need to elect someone. Okay, I mean, never mind. It could work if Keir Starmer just stays firm in his position. Like, seriously, if he just stays clear with his position, then maybe it could work. Corbyn's biggest failure was that he kept changing his Brexit position. One minute he said, the UK should remain in the EU. Then he says, I advocate for a good remaining in the EU. Then there's some people who say, maybe we should have stayed, we should advocate for a referendum. Etc., etc. But the second thing is pro-Corbyn or anti-Corbyn. Well, in the UK, particularly in the Labour Party, Labour is divided into 3 groups. Blairites, soft left, and Corbynites, or hard left. You see, technically the last one would be considered New Labour. You see, Blairites, or New Labour, they're pretty much the centrists within the Labour Party. Soft left, or more social democratic, they're kind of a little bit of Blairite, a little bit of Corbyn. Corbynites are full-fledged, socialists. They want to bring the Labour Party back to the likes of Clement Attlee. Starmer was a soft left. Though to be fair, in more recent years, the soft left has seemed to try to merge with the Blairites. Lisa Hannity, another candidate for the Labour leadership election, was also soft left. Rebecca Long-Bailey, who was the one of the bigger name candidates, she didn't seem to be soft left, or she didn't really have a stated position. She never said like, oh, I'm a Corbynite, or I'm a Blairite, or I'm soft left. But I'll just say this. In the 2016 Labour leadership election, Starmer and Hannity endorsed Owen Smith, who was, soft left as well. Rebecca Long-Bailey endorsed Jeremy Corbyn. Let's just say that. Maybe Rebecca Long-Bailey was a better choice, but then again, I also heard accusations that, Labour Party was tipping the scales in favor of her. Well, clearly that's not the case anymore, but, I heard the whispers, so there were some things that were definitely like, hold on there. She probably would have been a better choice, although technically maybe Hannity could have been a better choice as well. Because I remember there was this political chart that I saw where it divided all the potential Labour Party candidates for leadership in various groups. First, there was a right-to-left spectrum, which divided them based on, how much in favor of, are they Corbyn, soft left, Blairite. Then there was an up-down spectrum over if they were pro-Brexit, pro-EU, whatever. Hannity was in soft left, near the bottom. The lowest of all of the candidates. Maybe a pro-Brexit candidate could have worked for Labour Party, maybe not. We'll see how Starmer does. We'll see if they'll go the way of New Labour again. Or maybe this was a blessing in disguise. Speaking of left, we're going to jump back over to the US to talk about this one major article that seems to have gotten a lot of people mad. AOC breaks with Bernie on how to lead the left. The Congresswoman is declining to back primary challenges following in her footsteps and working within the system in Congress. Soon after her upset primary victory against Democratic primary boss in 2018, AOC traveled to St. Louis to prove her victory wasn't a one-off by campaigning for Cory Bush. Okay, so let me explain what's going on. The article is going to say, AOC is going to, rather than focusing on trying to dismantle the whole Congress, etc., campaigning aggressively against Nancy Pelosi and whatever, basically, and not endorsing every single primary challenger that seems to mimic her, rather than doing that, she will instead focusing on passing legislation? Woe is me! I mean, a certain group of the online left, the likes of Jimmy Dore and Michael Tracy, they're like, see, AOC is a fraud! Meanwhile, sane, sensible people are like, well, yes. Was that not what she was elected to do? Seriously, I do not understand why people are saying AOC is cancelled. It's you make it seem first of all, AOC, people say oh, AOC's not endorsing every single person who's mimicking her footsteps. Well, yeah, nobody endorses literally millions of people in, do you know how many people run for Congress? A lot of freaking people. And a lot of them try to do the whole AOC thing. Even before AOC was a thing. A lot of them were trying to pull the AOC thing, running an insurgent campaign against a multi-term incumbent. AOC can't endorse every single one. I try to, but AOC can't. And I mean, she made a group that would do that. They endorsed like 4 people. And AOC has endorsed a lot of people. She doesn't endorse every single person who runs for Congress because, believe it or not, like, and I don't, another thing, like, the stupid clickbait title. It's like, she breaks with Bernie on how to lead the left. It's like, what do you mean she's breaking with Bernie? You know Bernie doesn't endorse every single AOC out there, right? You know he doesn't do that, right? You are aware he does do that, right? Bernie endorses very few people running for Congress. He rarely does. Guess what? Because he's spending a lot of his time doing the work he was elected to do. Like, seriously, this is literally comparable to something that happened years ago. In 2008, Alan Grayson was elected to Congress. He came in, he had this firebrand, like, take no shit attitude, like he called the Republican Party foot-dragging, knuckle-dragging Neanderthals. He called a woman a K Street whore. He's rallied, he was very aggressive during his first couple years in Congress. Then, he toned it down a bit and focused on passing progressive legislation. He still did do some of the stuff, but he'd pick and chose his battles. Dennis Kucinich, he's well known for being a progressive firebrand who's introduced a lot of progressive legislation, but he doesn't fight everybody. He ran against John Kerry in the 2004 election, but still dropped out at the convention and endorsed him. Because he couldn't have just said, like, oh, I hate you, John Kerry, I will not endorse you. Because guess what? They would have shut his supporters away and just been like, yeah, you'll support us anyways, so we really need to do anything. He took stands when he needed to, but he didn't take every single stand. Like, he was adamant in not voting for Obamacare because it didn't include a public option. Kucinich said, like, this was the bare minimum you could have done to get me to vote for it. I'm not going to vote for it. But he was basically told by the Obama administration, look, dude, this is the best you're going to get. You got to pick and choose your battles, dude. Do you really want to be in the same group as those conservative Democrats that aren't going to vote for this? And Kucinich was like, yeah, whatever. And it makes me confused that people are like people go so far as to say, like, oh, she voted for Nancy Pelosi. This should have been a dead giveaway. It's like, what do you mean? So, Jeff Van Drew. What about Jeff Van Drew? You trust him? The guy who sucks Trump's dick during the impeachment administration and was like, oh, I love you, Donald Trump. This impeachment inquiry has gone too far. I'm a Republican now. Jared Golden, who tried to undermine Ro Khanna's Yemen bill and is refusing to endorse anybody for the Maine Senate race, who endorsed freaking Michael Bennet for president. They didn't vote for Nancy Pelosi, so they must have more credibility than AOC. Are you inept? You have to be inept to think that it would be 100% beneficial for them to just go around saying, oh, screw Nancy Pelosi. It would be cool if they did. Do you not think that I would like to have Ro Khanna be like, you know what, Nancy? Screw you. I will run against you to be the chair of the Democratic Caucus. Like, I will run against you for speakership. Don't you think it would be cool if progressives formed like a big voting bloc to like say like, Nancy, we're done taking your shit. But guess what? they aren't going to do that right now. Not saying there isn't anything in that thing that disappoints me. The one thing that does disappoint me about this is AOC's left-wing caucus. One of the things that was Kyle's and Chank's objective when making Justice Democrats was for there to be a Justice Democrat caucus. You know, it would be a left-wing version of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. You know, instead of being, traditional grassroots progressives, they'd be, the newfangled Democratic Socialist Caucus people. Like, they'd be like, instead of like, someone like a Raul Grijalva, they'll be more of a AOC. They'll be explicitly Democratic Socialists or the like. I'd be down with that. But, it thinks that AOC won't try to do that. That would be way better, though. Now on to the smaller candidate of the day. Though this time it won't be a presidential candidate, it'll be a Senate candidate. Lisa Savage. Lisa Savage is a teacher, organizer, and grandmother from Salon, Maine. She is running against, Suzanne Collins. She's running with the Green Independent Party of Maine. Although I think, if I remember correctly, she had her party name stripped from her, so now she's just running as an independent. Though I could be wrong. The Green Independent Party of Maine got their, ballot access revoked, which is stupid, but, it happens sometimes, people love to screw, minor parties. But Lisa is interesting. Normally I'd say, Lisa, don't run because, Betsy Sweet might be a good choice. And while we're at it, Brie Kidman, you don't need to run. Betsy's a cool person. But, Maine has ranked choice voting, so yeah, I'm down for Lisa to be in the race. Why not? And Lisa's bringing interesting things to the table. She's running on the OG Green New Deal. Healthcare's right, education's a right, jobs are a right, etc., etc. The typical Green Party platform. She's gotten endorsed by, typical Green Party support groups. Jill Stein. She's even gotten endorsed by Ventura, because Ventura was, in the realm of trying to be like, hey, I might run as a Green. But it turns out, nah. So yeah, now that we got her out of the way, let's move on to the main topic of this video. I have a wheel that I spin for these videos sometimes. And this one picked a person that I'm like, couldn't even get a newfangled person. But it's probably good to get these old fogies out of the way. Sean Hannity. What are my thoughts on Sean Hannity? First, who's Sean Hannity? He's an American talk show host and political commentator, host of the Sean Hannity Show. Great name. And is host of Hannity on Fox News. Wow. This dude's really creative on names. Just super creative. There's one thing that really bugs me about these old-fangled political commentators. They're all so boring with their name titles. It's like, hello, I am Bob Sloopy, and this is the Bob Sloopy Show. I don't know why I just didn't say something real, like Bob Smith, but whatever. Glenn Beck Show. Tom Hartman Show. Rush Limbaugh Show. They're all just their names plus show. Technically, one of my favorite political commentators is technically in that same group. Kyle Kulinski's show isn't technically called Secular Talk. It's called The Kyle Kulinski Show. But that's because he's trying to rip off Tom Hartman. But then again, I'm trying to rip off him. Technically, I'm not even trying to rip off him anymore. I'm my own thing. I'm cool, and I don't need to rip off Kyle Kulinski to be cool. Oh yeah, Sam Cedar. Just remember Sam Cedar and his show. Sam Cedar Show. Boring. Anyways, he's on Fox News, so it's pretty obvious what his political views are. He's a conservative. In fact, a very interesting conservative. Sean Hannity has kind of become the new face of Fox News. You see, its face for a long time has been Bill O'Reilly, but turns out now it's Sean Hannity's time to shine. Tucker Carlson, apparently his time will be soon enough. But, Sean Hannity's time now. He's been very well known doing the typical Fox News schlock, conservative viewpoint on the news. And then they've even complained, they've compared, many other people in the media have compared him to Alex Jones due to the fact that he's really gone into these more outlandish conspiracy theories. And Sean has been really weird in regards to a lot of his conspiracy theories. Like, for example, he was a birther, but not. Here's what happened. Sean Hannity claims that he's like, I believe Obama's an American, but I'm just asking to see his birth certificate. I'm just saying, if he is an American, which I believe, maybe just show me a little bit of the birth certificate. I mean, come on, give me a little flash of the birth certificate, dude. It's a little odd you're not showing me birth certificate, dude. Come on, give me a little birth certificate. It's like, or you could just take his word for it because you believe he's an American. You just said that. But it was clearly just a cover to try and give him a little more credibility than other Fox News hosts who just flat out didn't believe Obama was an American. But of course, it's more well known nowadays, like, he's pro-Trump. Fox News would always be pro-Republican presidents. He was super pro-Bush. He's pro-Trump. And I mean, many people have criticized him for being, like, super openly pro-Trump, which is, again, Fox News' strong suit. Like, it's a conservative president. He's, of course, going to be a strong suit pro-Republican president. Like, he's promoting conspiracy theories about Hillary Clinton. They've been like, oh, you're sick, which isn't a conspiracy theory. I mean, you don't just sit in the middle of the room shaking your head violently and not be sick. He's also talking about the Seth Rich thing, which, I mean, sounds believable at first when you think, like, when you just hear the story, and with some other information, it almost sounds real, at the very least. It almost sounds real. Like, I'm not going to say it is real or it's not real. That'd be me giving all the facts. That'd be me giving a statement without the facts. Like, when you don't think about it, at the very least, it sounds legitimate. He's decried election fraud, which is something Republicans really love to do when they're not the ones causing the electoral fraud. Here's what happened. This is an anecdote. In the 2012 election, 59 counties in Pennsylvania had 0 recorded votes from Mitt Romney. Like, there were 0 people who were reported to have voted for Mitt Romney in any of those districts. Hannity used this claim to explain, like, see, this is proof of electoral fraud. There's no single possible way that anybody could just not vote for Mitt Romney in those districts. Many fact-checking groups point out these places are very heavily African-American, so it's very likely that they just didn't like Mitt Romney. And, of course, one of the biggest things that many people point out about conservatives is his well-known hypocrisy. Like, for example, first, sexual assault. When Democrat Harvey Weinstein had his sexual assault and rape allegations, he was parading around like, we need to take down these sick people in Hollywood. Then Bill O'Reilly and Roger Ailes, who literally went through similar allegations, many of them being proven to an extent, and he turns a blind eye. You know, the Donald Trump Access Hollywood tapes is just like, come on, dude. There was a guy who had like 500 concubines. This makes it okay. And, of course, WikiLeaks. In 2010, he said Julian Assange was waging a war on the United States, and WikiLeaks put American lives in jeopardy and danger. And he criticized Obama for failing to apprehend Assange. 6 years later, Hannity praised Assange for showing how corrupt and dishonest and phony our government is, and said, I do hope you get free one day. I wish you the best. And he said, WikiLeaks revealed everything conspiracy theorists have said over the years about Hillary Clinton. And he said that he wanted to make Assange a guest host on Fox News. Yeah. He's definitely a hypocrite. But there's another thing that really bothers me, is that he seems like you'd think that someone on TV, like, I mean, again, everybody likes to think this, you'd think someone on TV would be a little more credible. I mean, you obviously know that he's not credible, but I mean, he was a Fox News contributor. I mean, he is a Fox News contributor. But he's advocated for the QAnon deep state theory. This is just stupid. I'm going to have to talk about this. The QAnon deep state theory. For those who feel the need to not need to know this, the QAnon deep state theory claims that there is a deep state that is undermining Donald Trump. There is a deep state, like, Democrats secretly control more than they do, and there's a deep state that is trying to undermine Donald Trump's presidency, and they control everything. They've controlled everything for years, and it wasn't until Donald Trump got elected that things were falling into the plan. It's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, seriously. Do you not know how stupid that is? You were literally claiming that there was like a secret government that we just don't know about that is undermining a group of people that had control of the House, control of the Senate, and the presidency, and majority of governors, and a majority in state legislators. You're seriously going to claim that there's some deep magic state that is undermining him? No. You're the same people who claimed that the Democratic Party was hiding child sex slaves underneath a pizza place. This is Alex Jones type conspiracies. And yet, this is a guy who has a, like, 5-figure salary and, like, you know, supposed credibility and all this. Seriously? It's stupid. And I just don't think, like, pretty much Sean Hannity summed up as like your typical conservative, you know, a hypocrite, a fraud, talking point for corporations and the social right. Like, just no. If you're one of the people who just so happen to watch Fox News, nah, this is a guy you can skip. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora. Go join my Discord, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.